Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to Breakfast in the Class. Breakfast in the Class today has been sponsored from and by Rabbi Farhi, his personal driver in Mexico. For the Beracha and Hatzlacha, for all the Jewish community in Mexico that listens to Rabbi Farhi's class every day. Baruch Hashem, Ya'eni. Fantastic. Okay, as well, dedicated in honor of Shira Galit, whose birthday is the 23rd of Elul. May all her berachot come true. Sponsored by Doreen Sedek. And as well, in dedicated loving memory of David Betesh's father, Nathan Betesh, Alav Shalom, Lilui Nishmat Natan Ben Sarah, sponsored by the Betesh family. And sponsored by Shmaya Stimler, dedicated in honor of his father, Jackie Stimler, dedicated for the Shpidi and Fuah Shlema, and complete Fuah Shlema, for Rachel Bat Jamila, and sponsored anonymously. And in loving memory of Miss Lily Safra Leah Shalom Lilui Nishmat, Leah Badova Kohen Vechana, whose philanthropy has reached so many throughout the entire world. And finally, sponsored by David E. Ash in honor of you and your substantial capacity to do good today and every day. My friends, I want to start by sharing one idea, one concept that I think is really important to put our focus on as we come towards Yom Hadin. Someone came up to me this morning and said, "Wow, Rabbi, I can't believe how full the shul is." Right? You guys looked around today? Right. Yesterday, day before, shul is rammed, packed, Baruch Hashem. But it's not the fact that it was packed that made an impression. It was what he said. He said, "Rabbi, the shul looks like the gym the month before the summer." And I was laughing, because everyone wants the beach bod, you know, if you're very religious, mikvah bod, I don't know, right? Yeah, what's it called? You want to look good, you're not going to be wearing a shirt in the summer, you're with a bathing suit, you're going swimming in the swimming pool, you don't want to look like a jlub, so people go to the gym before the summer, not to body shame anybody, okay? Now, my friends, I want you to understand this. I'm looking at this guy and my mouth falls open, because all of a sudden I realize that's exactly what this is. Are you with me? It's the month before the summer. Just not the secular weather-related summer, the spiritual summer. When all of Am Yisrael is going to pass, and the nations of the world are going to pass Tachat HaShevet, where God will look at each person, at their deeds, what shape they're in, how they're doing. You know, I don't want to know how your beach bod is. I want to know how your teshuvah bod is. How does your mitzvot bod look? Your, what's it called? Your Torah bod look? Are you sagging? Are you strong? Do you have strength? You know, there's two different kinds of people in the gym. There's the guy that does many reps, right? Very toned and good shape. Then there's the guy who does that one deadlift, 9 gazillion pounds. That guy could have a beer belly the size of a keg. Okay? No problem. But he's lifting like a maniac. You know why? Because he could do one. A lot, but one. How's your Torah bod? Bro, do you even lift? Can you hang in there to finish a masechet? Can you hang in there to learn a book from the front to the back? Or do you manage to listen only to the short dose of Torah, only the 2-minute class that gets cut by, Torah Anytime, by iTorah, by Meaningful Minute, how long can you hang in there? Are you a deadlift Torah guy? Or are you a reps Torah guy? My friends, this idea has to accompany us in our minds in the preparatory process for the Yamim Hadin, for the Yamim Noraim. And I want to, if I can, maybe focus us on one important thing. You know, Rabbi Yehuda Fatayeh was one of the great Talmidei Chachamim, one of the great tzaddikim. And when he lived in Baghdad, so at the time, people, they didn't, wasn't air conditioning, they lived without the ability to cool a place off. So where did they eat? They ate in the coolest place where they could. So instead of eating in the house, they would take the meals up onto the roof. There's a little bit more air at the top of the roof, and that's where they would have their meals. Comes the night of Rosh Hashana, and Rabbi Yehuda Fatayeh and his family are eating on the roof of the house. He goes upstairs, and as he takes off his rabbinical cloak, his jacket, he knocks over one of the candles. The candle goes out, and it spills oil all over his frock, all over his jacket. All right. He starts laughing. Instead of getting angry, instead of being upset, instead of saying, who put this there? He starts laughing. 2 minutes later, his wife is coming up the stairs. She trips on the stairs. The soup falls all over the stairs. He runs downstairs to help his wife, with the soup up the stairs. He comes back upstairs. There's a cat sitting on the top of his table, eating food from his plate. And again, he's laughing. And his wife starts crying. She's like, everything is going wrong. I can't believe it. Our meal on Rosh Hashana, first your jacket, then the soup spilled on the stairs. Now we got the cats eating our food. What's going on? And he's laughing. And she says, I'm crying and you're laughing. What's going on? The Yehuda Fatayeh said, Satan, Satan. Oh, evil inclination. Yodea ani, I know shata oseh hakol. You're doing everything. Kedesh etragez hayom, in order that I should get angry today. Aval me'um lo ya'azor lach. It's not going to help you one drop. Why is he laughing? Reminds me of Rabbi Akiva. He's laughing because he recognizes exactly what's going on over here. This is not isolated incidents. This is the Yetzer Hara's attempt to get him on the most important day of the year to lose his temper. My friends, people who lose their temper think that the reason why they lose their temper is because they're angry people. What do you want from me, Rabbi? That's what I'm like. I get angry. I have a short fuse. I don't have patience. That's how I am. That's how God made me. That's what people say. It's important to recognize that this life does not work like that. The Gemara tells us a very interesting idea. That the mazalot that are in the heavens, they influence the spheres of our life. Most people think that the concept of mazalot, of the horoscopes, of these ideas, they don't bear any import for the Jewish people. But it's not true. We know that each month has a mazal, and the day that a person's born has a mazal. All these things, the mazalot, are a real component of the forces in this world, of the temperaments of people. But the Gemara says, En mazal Yisrael, what it means to say is that even if there are mazalot in the world, and even if I was born with a certain temperament, and a certain style, and a certain angle, and a certain something, in mazal Yisrael does not have mazal. So is there or isn't there? How does this work? What's going on? So I want to share with you a very powerful idea. There was a rabbi who's teaching in a school in Yerushalayim. And as he's teaching every day, the kids come in and he does his best to really educate and inspire every kid in the class. One year, though, he had a very big challenge. 2 twins came to the class, right? It's almost never a good idea to have twins in the same class. What's going to happen automatically? All the time, they're going to be compared. But with these twins, it was a whole different ballgame. As much as one student was diligent and focused and sharp and on the ball and nice to everybody and popular with the kids and good at sports and everything went his way, exactly as good as he was, his brother was the opposite. impatient and messy and short with people. I mean, never paying attention in class, barely ever did his homework. The grades suffered. One of them is a pride and joy of his parents, and the other one is the failure, is the low life, is the no good Nick. Anyway, one day, the rabbi is teaching in school, and he's learning about the high holidays. And he starts telling the kids about the process of Yom Kippur. And he tells them that there was a procedure in the Beit HaMikdash called the Shnei Se'irim, the two goats. How you had these goats that looked exactly the same, and they were the same tall, and they were the same color, and they cost the same amount. And for all intents and purposes, you could not tell them apart. They were identical. But then along comes the Goral, the lots that were drawn, and one of them was chosen to be Se'ir Hashem, a Korban, and one of them was chosen to be Se'ir Azazel, to sent away, pushed off the cliff, etc., etc. And they would hang these Goralot on the goats, and that's how they would tell them apart. A voice comes out from the back of the classroom, and the voice is choked a little bit with emotion, and it says, I'm the Se'ir Azazel. I'm the goat that gets pushed off the mountain. I'm the bad goat. I'm the one that got that portion. The Rebbe doesn't even need to look to know who's the one that says it. It's very obvious from the context. So in the moment, he chooses to ignore what the kid says and not to make an issue out of it. Not to bring it up, not to deal with it. But as soon as the class was over, he walks up to find this boy during recess walking around in the playground by himself, like he often was. And he says to him, what did you mean when you said that in class? And the boy said, what do you mean? What do you mean, what do I mean? You know exactly what I mean. Everything for this kid is roses, comes up aces. Everything for my brother is smooth, is easy. It's almost like he doesn't have to try. And everything for me is broken and difficult. And so what do you mean? I'm a Se'ir Azazel. That we're identical, we come from the same background, same parents, same everything. We look the same, everyone knows we're twins. But everyone knows I'm the one that messes up, Anyway, the rabbi takes this boy and he says, stop right there. He said, there's one difference between you and the Se'ir Azazel. And the boy, he's got tears in his eyes and he looks at his Rebbe and he says, what is it? What's the difference? And the rabbi says, for that goat, there was a goral that was drawn. That was his lot. There was nothing that he could do to change his lot. No one decided that you're the Se'ir Azazel. No one made that choice for you. No one locked you in. The only person that ever uttered those words about you was you. The boy hears, okay, maybe he's a little bit, he feels the rabbi hopes that he kind of raises his spirits a little bit, goes off, carries on playing. The rabbi says, 30 years, I didn't see this child. I didn't see this boy. And then one day, I travel up north to the wedding of my sister's daughter. And we're waiting for the chuppah, and at the chuppah, while we're waiting, I asked my sister what's the holdup, and my sister tells me that they're waiting for the Rosh Yeshiva, for the head of the yeshiva of the Chatan to come. He's a big zechut, it's a big honor. We knew he was going to be coming a little bit late, but it was worth waiting and delaying the wedding to have such a Talmid Chacham, such a Torah scholar come and run the wedding. Okay, beautiful. The Rosh Yeshiva comes, stands up there, does the chuppah, speaks beautifully under the chuppah, very complex, deep idea, very powerfully expressed. You know, you could see the adoration and how everyone's looking at him. And right after the chuppah, everyone sings and dances, and the Rosh Yeshiva walks right up to me, says this teacher. And he says to him, do you remember me? I'm the Se'ir Azazel. I'm the goat of Azazel. He says, for 30 years, your words, I've carried with them everywhere I went. And I thought to myself that nothing for Yisrael is written in the stars. It's written in our own hearts and minds. It may have first been written in the stars, but it is only us who transcribe those words into our lives. Because for Am Yisrael, en mazal liYisrael. You were born impatient, it doesn't matter. You were born angry, it doesn't matter. You were born naturally clever, it doesn't matter. You were born a person that doesn't have good social skills, it doesn't matter. Some people have a good metabolism. Some people are naturally strong. I remember going to a gym with a friend of mine when I first started going to the gym a little bit. The guy had been working for months. He's sitting there lifting whatever he was lifting. I sat down on the bench the first day I was lifting what he was lifting after months and months and months and months of being in the gym. Some people are born naturally hardy, a little bit stronger than other people. But ultimately, all that does is set the first rung on the ladder. That's all your mazal ever is. En mazal liYisrael. And I always thought to myself, what a powerful line the Gemara is communicating to us. Because it does not say En mazal liYehudim. It says En mazal liYisrael. Yisrael is the name that was given to Yaakov Avinu because he struggled and struggled and struggled, and the whole night long he didn't give up. And even after he was injured, he didn't give up. And he won because he didn't give up. En mazal liYisrael. There is no story, there's nothing written in the stars for you if you're Yisrael, if you're willing to fight it. So what is this packed shul? It's a gym before the summer. Get on the machines. Focus on the body parts that need a little bit more love. Make sure you're doing cardio and not just working on your triceps if you need to get in shape and you can't breathe when you walk up the stairs. Make sure you're doing teshuvah on the things that you can't breathe when you walk up the stairs. And don't focus only on the wrong things, on working on your triceps if you're going to have a heart attack because you don't have any sort of health, of stamina, of calisthenics, of running, of cardio in your routine. You know, I always think to myself, you know, when they tell you you want to get in shape, when they talk about being healthy, healthy is not muscles. Want to be healthy? What do you focus on? Cardio, right? That's what they tell you. You might need to lift weights also a little bit. But those guys that are sitting there building gigantic muscles and giant pecs and lats and whatever, and glutes and leg day, those guys, that's bodybuilding. That's not health. That's not the healthy part. The healthy part is cardio, my friends. The healthy part of teshuvah is when you work on your heart. When your heart could pump the blood to everywhere it needs to go. When you're working on how your heart is connected to Borei Olam. How your heart feels and treats Am Yisrael, other people around you. Are you a caring heart? Are you a compassionate heart? Are you a dismissive heart? Are you a cynical heart? What does your heart look like? Are you a proud heart? Are you a humble heart? If a person is willing to work on this, en mazal, it doesn't matter how you started. There's no goral. Not on someone who's willing to fight. Not on Yisrael. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi